You are listening to Up to Me Radio, the best in inspirational talk radio. It's up to me.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Journeys Unconventional with me, your host, Allie Buckley. On this podcast, I will be talking about my unconventional journey and will be joined by a handful of exceptional guests who all have beautiful journeys to share with you as well.
Keep listening and remember, be still. There is light at the end of every dark tunnel.
Wow. Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Allie Buckley, and you are listening to me. If you found yourself here, you're on Journeys Unconventional, and you're going to be listening to me today talk a little bit about myself and give you guys a little bit of background on who I am. I first want to start off by saying thank you for finding yourself here. I think that you will not be disappointed. I hope you won't be disappointed. This podcast is going to be covering a multitude of different people and stories and journeys, and basically talking about how we ended up where we are, but what did we go through to get there? For myself and the people I'm bringing on this podcast, that does not look similar to other people. And that's the beauty of an unconventional journey, is how different my story and my journey and other people's journeys and stories have been to my neighbor, my friend, a classmate, whatever it is. We're all so different. And for some reason, society has made it so that our journey has to look like our next door neighbors. And that's so far from the truth. I want to start by saying that there is so much beauty in an unconventional journey. And when you recognize that beauty and when you tap into how cool your journey is, that is when you truly flourish. So I want to let you guys in on my life, give you guys a little insight on how, I ended up here, what I am, who I am, and what my journey's been. So without further ado, welcome to Journeys Unconventional. Alrighty, guys. So from the beginning, I have always been the type of kid that pushes back. I would definitely say that I have the type of personality that is more confrontational. I'm more headstrong. I do not like being told no. I'm a pretty strong woman. From a lot of different areas in my life, I've kind of almost felt this need to kind of like suppress who I am. I've always been told that I'm really loud. I've always been told that I'm a lot. And I've always been told that I'm really strong-headed. And I think what's so interesting is over the years as a woman, you hear these words, and while they are good qualities, I think somewhere along the line, you weirdly twist them in your head and make them sound to yourself almost like a negative. And so for a very long time, I was very insecure about who I was as an individual, because I would be in an interaction with somebody and then immediately afterwards be like, oh my God, was I too much for that person? Did I put them off? Like, I overthought a lot of situations that I was in. And then it created anxiety for me, almost, where it was almost like a social anxiety, but I kind of almost like withdrew myself at times. And then I would kind of sit there and it would be like this feeling of like I wasn't being myself truly. I had boyfriends over the years tell me that I was too much. And I think that the only thing that I've learned out of all of this is I do not care what anyone thinks about me anymore. I think it's a good thing to be too much. I think it's really cool that I get to be like, yeah, I'm a lot of a person and that's who I am. I'm strong and I'm bubbly and I'm energetic and I've got this great creative mind and I'm funny and I have all these great characteristics. And why would someone ever tell a woman to not be that and to not be that fully and be all of that? I mean, how much of a detriment could that be to lose somebody that gives so much energy to other people and tell them that they need to tone it down? So I think from a young age, we have found that vocabulary used with women can be very dangerous. I think that it can cause a lot of damage and trauma deep down underneath, where sometimes we wouldn't really expect for that to be happening. It's incredibly important to speak out about what you've got going on and what you're struggling with. I know for myself, I only really in the last, I want to say 3 years, have become very vocal about how I'm feeling. If you knew me prior to 3 years ago, I think that you probably don't even know who I am today because I am such a different person. And there's a lot that I would credit that to. But I think that talking about what's going on deeper down, talking about what you're truly genuinely feeling is the most important thing in regards to a journey, and starting somewhere is identifying like what you're feeling and then how do you move forward. So for me, I was an athlete my whole life. I never realized how much anxiety I had over the years because being an athlete, that was an outlet for me to release energy, endorphins, anxiety. It was like therapy for me. For a very long time, lacrosse was my identity 100%. I started playing when I was in 3rd grade. It became my life. I fell in love with the sport. And it was something that gave me purpose and gave me confidence and made me feel, I felt like I was just on top of the world. I think that anybody that's an athlete and has had success in their life in regards to athletics can understand that feeling. And it doesn't even have to be with athletics. If you were really smart in the classroom and you excelled with your grades and you were a strong academic person, or you were an incredibly talented artist or a musician, or whatever your passion was, at this time of your life, high school, or even prior, middle school, elementary school, those things over time become a piece of you. And like I said, it became my identity. It was who I was as an individual. I was Allie Buckley, the lacrosse player. That was how I was known in town. That was what I was known for. And then I went off to college and I had decided to go to a medium-sized school up in New Hampshire called Plymouth State University. I really thought that Plymouth was going to be my home. I thought that it was going to be the next piece of my puzzle that was just going to keep building. And I felt like the more lacrosse I had in my life, the more success and happiness I was going to feel. My freshman year, I ended up breaking my wrist during actual season. We were in the spring season. I was out for 6 to 8 weeks, which was essentially the whole season. I was devastated. It was my freshman year and I didn't get to play in the actual season. I think maybe I actually played like 1 or 2, maybe 3 games, and that was it. That was a huge blow to my ego. It was a huge blow to my confidence. Not being able to practice and play and move my body in a way that I had been doing for so long was a huge hit on me. So what I decided to do was, coming back freshman year, I really put the time in to make sure that I was going to have a really strong sophomore year. I was training, I was running, I was doing everything that I needed to do to get myself to a place that would really put me above where I was going to be otherwise. So sophomore year rolls around, we go through fall ball testing, which, as any college athlete, if you're a spring athlete, you know that there's fall ball. That's a pretty important time in the season because that's when you are either as a freshman learning your teammates, kind of getting the whole flow of the team down, learning who you play best with, learning how to play a team, the chemistry's there. It's a super, super transformative time in a college athlete's life, is that fall ball. And it sets you up to have a really great season. As any athlete, you know how important the fall season can be. I think it was it was maybe the 3rd practice of fall ball, and it had to have been like the first couple of weeks of school back. Like, we were in our first semester back. The last 20 minutes to go of the practice, we were playing a 7v7. I remember I caught the ball. I made a move. It was the wrong move. I felt a pain in my knee that I had never felt before. I went down. Unfortunately, that was the last time I stepped foot on the field playing collegiate lacrosse. I ended up tearing my MCL, my meniscus, and my ACL, and I broke part of my knee. I suffered from one of, I think, the most dreaded injuries as an athlete. There's obviously far worse that could have happened. I'm lucky that I can walk. I'm lucky that I'm not paralyzed. I'm lucky that I was able to play for the amount of time that I played for. But nonetheless, when you sustain an injury like that, it is so devastating to an athlete. Unless you've been through it before, I can't even explain how painful it is, not only physically, but emotionally. Having that happen to me at the time was one of the worst things I'd have ever been through. I had to get a reconstructive surgery done. I ended up getting the surgery done on December 31st, and on New Year's Day, I spent the whole day puking my guts out. That was back in 2015. So it's been 5 years. I can walk, I can run, I could play lacrosse if I wanted to. So I'm thankful that I got through that. So I had made the decision to not go back to school after my injury because I knew I needed to go home for the surgery. And I knew that like there was just a shift in myself and my soul and my energy when this injury happened. I really genuinely had gone through something that I had never experienced before. I did not know how to handle such loss. I turned to partying and really lost my way for a while there. I remember just thinking that Plymouth was not a home any longer for me. I didn't feel a sense of purpose. I didn't feel welcome there. And that wasn't anyone's fault but my own. I think that I had done a really poor job of dealing with what I was going through, but I'm not beating myself up by any means. I'm very easy on myself during that time when I reflect back. I think that anybody that was, God, I think I was 18, 19, maybe 20 at the time. I just remember feeling so broken and lost in life. I lost a piece of my soul that day. I remember feeling like, okay, well, I could rehab this and go back and do this, but it was going to be another year of a lost season, and I had already kind of lost my freshman season, so I was already feeling so defeated. I wish that I could say that I like came back and I, ripped it up my junior year. That's not what happened. And that's not the path that I decided to take. I decided to hang up my jersey and call it quits. And I think that a lot of people could look at my journey and be like, okay, well, it wasn't a career-ending injury. Why didn't you go back? Well, because of where I was at in that time, I knew that home was where I needed to be with my parents. Like I had said, I was partying a lot. I wasn't taking care of myself. I stopped going to my classes. I really lost everything when I sustained that injury. So I think the most important decision and smartest decision that I had made during that time was to remove myself from Plymouth. And later, obviously, down the road, I look back and think that, wow, okay, if I had done anything right at Plymouth, it was making the decision to leave. So I called my mom after being in class that day, and I just said, hey, you know what? I think I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Right now, my head is not in it. My heart is absolutely not in it. I need to be home. I did not even cry for I think the first 2 weeks after I injured myself. And the minute my mom came up to get me, I just lost it. And it really set in. Moving out of my apartment was incredibly difficult. 2 years pass, I'm out of school. Who you surround yourself with is a direct reflection of who you are. And I think it's incredibly important to really look at the people that you surround yourself with and question if these are the right people for you. Are they helping you get to the place that you want to get to eventually? Are they helping you be the best you that you want to be? And if they're not those people, then you need to know in your heart to walk away and to remove those people from your life. And so I learned through just time that I wasn't surrounding myself with the people that I wanted to be around. My older brother, Tim Buckley, passed away 2 days after my 21st birthday on May 30th, 2017. I had felt a pain that had never been felt before. It was the most unimaginable news that I could have ever received. It was the most painful news I've ever received. To this day, I remember exactly where I was and who I was with when I found out that my brother died. I don't wish this pain on my worst enemy. It's the most awful, awful feeling to lose a family member. But most importantly, my brother, who I was so incredibly close with. It took a very, very long time for me to make amends with what happened. Tim lost his battle with addiction, died from an accidental overdose when he was living out in California. I remember feeling so angry and so mad at him, and it was so difficult because you're processing so many emotions. The last emotion you want to be feeling when someone is dead is angry at them, but I couldn't figure out like why I was so angry. Like obviously I was angry because he was gone and he died, and I'm angry because that happened, but I was like genuinely so mad. It took so long to get over that anger and to allow myself to be okay with these emotions that I was feeling. I credit a lot of my strength and my ability to come to terms with my brother's death because of therapy. Therapy saved my life in the end because I needed somewhere to go to place my emotions and have someone help me organize them and find the right tools to turn them into something that could harm me down the road and turn it into a strength. So my anxiety became so overwhelming that it was detrimental. And now I've learned to tap into my anxiety and turn that into something really beautiful. I think that anybody that goes through loss in any capacity, whether it be a family member, a friend, an injury, a pet, it doesn't matter what kind of loss you go through. Loss changes you, and I genuinely believe it changes you for the better. I know for a fact that who I am today is thanks to my brother's life, his ability in his short 22 years on this planet to show me how to live my life and to try to maintain the humor and the light and the love and the laughter and everything that my brother was. I try to honor that now and live that way. And I think that's made me a much better person because I think I'm more patient, I'm more understanding, I'm more gentle, and I'm more kind. And that's thanks to my brother. Okay. It's been 3 years since my brother passed. After my brother passed away, this was still in 2017, decided that it was time for me to go to school. I had been out of school for 2 years. I wasn't really feeling like I was going anywhere. I've always worked in the restaurant industry. And I will say I've always had a job. I've always been working. That's something that I do take pride in, is that I've always been doing something. I'm always working. I finally felt like it was time for me to put my abilities, my talents, my intelligence to good use. My brother did not finish college. He was at St. Michael's up in Vermont and did not finish. And I felt like it was my duty and a way to honor my brother was to go back to school and to graduate for the both of us. So I had made the decision so Tim passed away at the end of May. So June, July, August. So that's 3 months after my brother passed, I went back to school. I started really easy. I took 2 classes. I was doing part-time. I was also working, then found a passion in media and media production more specifically. Middlesex Community College in Connecticut has a really strong media program, and I was blown away by what they offer there. And I think that the minute I walked through campus, I was just like, whoa, this doesn't even really feel like a community college. Like I didn't know what to expect going into it. And I think there's this like weird stigma around community college that like makes you feel like not belittled, but I think that it's kind of normal to be like, oh God, yeah, I'm the kid that's going to community college. Who would have guessed? And I think that I had to get over that. I had to get over what people thought of me going. And I don't know why I was so hard on myself, but and again, I'm trying to be gentle with myself. It took a lot for me to kind of like almost swallow my pride and be like, yeah, okay, I'm just going to start with my associates. It's going to be a community college, whatever it is, what it is. I'm not at a 4-year university. That doesn't work for me right now. This is what's going to work. I was able to commute. It was far less expensive than what a 4-year university would have been. And I was able to do part-time and work. So that was really important for me as well. I find my passion with media production. I love my classmates. I love my professors, and I even love my classes. And genuinely, if you knew me back in high school, I was not the student. I was not somebody that liked to be in the classroom. There was this new confidence that I was gaining as well because I was finding a lot of success in what I was doing. Fast forward to 2020. This is the year that I was supposed to graduate. In the spring, I was supposed to walk across the stage. I was supposed to receive my diploma. All the things that happen with graduation. I don't have to go through it. I'm sure you guys know what happens at graduation. Anyway, as we all know, COVID hit. Once again, I'm feeling like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like 3 years into this program. It was so hard for me to go back, and I was anticipating this graduation, and I was so incredibly proud of myself for getting to where I was, that the idea that my graduation was going to be canceled was so heartbreaking to me. And on top of it, my graduation, I was supposed to be walking across the stage on my 24th birthday this year, 2 days before my brother's 3-year anniversary. So it was really, really important for me because it almost seemed like it was perfectly aligned. And it was just like, I almost felt like there was going to be this light shining down on me when I like walked the stage, and it was going to be like a, moment kind of thing. And when I find out that that's not the case and that's not what's going to happen, immediately, I will admit, I kind of almost retracted back to a mindset of feeling almost where I was when I tore my ACL. I really was transported back and felt very defeated and felt very bad. And again, another loss. I had to remind myself of how far I'd come, and that no matter what my graduation looked like, I was still graduating. That alone was such an accomplishment that I didn't think that I was ever going to have in life. I really did not know if I was ever going to have a college education for those 2 years, like those 2 very long years. I was convinced that I was going to be working in a restaurant the rest of my life, and that was what my life was going to be. And not to say that there's anything wrong with that, because there's nothing. And you can make a really great life for yourself. At the end of the day, as long as you're happy doing that, that's all that matters. But for me, I saw more for myself in regards to a career, and I knew there was more deep down in there. And so did everyone else. And of course, I had people, encouraging me to go. I had the amazing support of both my grandparents on my mom's side and my Nana on my dad's side, and my grandfather, who is now passed since. All of their support on top of my family and friends was the reason I was able to get through. I had such a team behind me that made it possible. And not to say that I don't owe myself credit for getting there, because I absolutely do. But the people that were behind me made it possible for me to get where I needed to go. I graduated this spring in my living room with my little brother, my mom, and my dad. I had an amazing little birthday celebration with my grandparents and my Nana and my parents and my little brother. It was as fun and as amazing as it could be. It was not what I expected, but the feeling that I felt when I saw my name flash up on the screen was everything I expected to feel. I genuinely felt my brother in the room that day. I felt such pride and joy and happiness, and just, I was so proud of myself because I had been through so much. That sense of accomplishment is just unlike anything. After you've battled for so long to get there, it's like the best feeling in the world. I think that the pandemic for me was so transformative. It was so important, so crucial in my journey to where I am today, because I was able to really tap into a lot of the stress and anxiety and hurt and pain and trauma that I had dealt with for a very long time and did not have the ability to run from, which I was very guilty of doing. I think that as humans, it's super easy to want to run and numb instead of stay and deal. And I think one of the things that I learned in quarantine was to be still. And I have a tattoo on my wrist that says "Be still." And the reason why I got that was because I listened to Glennon Doyle, who is a public speaker, fell in love with the term. So be still is, to me being still with myself, finding the inner peace, being still in the moment, and knowing that no matter what happens to me, I'm going to be okay and I'm going to get through it. I just need to be still and know that everything's going to be okay. And I think it resonated so much with me in quarantine, because the only option that I had in quarantine was to be still. I could not do anything else other than to be in the moment, to be with myself, and to be still. I look back on it now and I'm so glad I have this forever reminder on my body, because it was so poignant in my journey now, learning how to be still. And I think something that I want people to take away from this podcast is we all have so much going on in our lives. And we all have so much going on in our heads and our minds. I think the really important thing to take away from this pandemic is that it's really important to take a step back and slow down a little bit and realize that we don't need to be going and going and going and running and running and running and doing and doing and doing, because I think deep down, for me at least, I know that I was running away from so much more than I even knew I had. And I think we were subconsciously doing it as humans, but now we're being forced into a situation where we have to do this. I hope moving forward that we do this more often. And I'm not saying that we should be stuck in a pandemic for life, but I'm saying that the mindset that we had during this pandemic of slowing down, slowing ourselves down, and coming home to ourselves needs to continue for the rest of our lives. And we need to find a way to do that in a healthy way. And I think just really kind of finding your peace with yourself and the balance that works for you and just coming home to yourself. In conclusion, I really want for you guys to take away my transparency with you. I hope that me keeping it as real as possible with you guys will provide a comfortable and honest environment for my listeners. I think that it's going to be incredibly important that the people that I bring on are also super transparent. I know that the people that I'm going to bring on are just going to bring their A game and really bring powerful stories, because I have so many powerful women and men in my life that have overcome so much turmoil and have turned it into some really beautiful stuff. And I cannot wait to share those stories with you guys. If you have any questions at all, if you have any comments at all, if you have any advice for me at all, please do not be afraid to reach out. I actually have an inbox that you guys can send emails to, and I will drop that email for you guys. A Buckley at uptomeradio.com. That's ABUCKLEY at up2meradio.com. Please email me questions, comments, concerns. You just want to say hi and introduce yourself as a listener. I'm open for anything. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what you like, what you don't like. What do you want to hear from me? What do you want to hear from a guest? Just give me what you guys are looking for so that I can curate the best podcast for you guys as possible. So thank you so much for taking the time to learn who I am. I really, really appreciate every single one of you that showed up today and listened to my podcast, because I can't explain to you how much it means for me to be able to have a platform where I can share who I am and where I've come from and the pain and the disaster that I've experienced and how I've turned that into something really beautiful. So I've created a little segment where at the end of the podcast, I have prepared a quote for you guys today, and I've asked my guests coming on to have a quote prepared for the end of the podcast that just really resonates with their situation at this moment. I wanted to share with you a quote that really resonated with me at this moment. So here it is. It was a privilege to love you, and it was a privilege to let you go. Both helped me shape the person I am today. So I obviously want to give credit for who that quote is by, and I found that on Instagram on the account, the1.spiritual, and it says that SCNDS apart is the person who quoted this. So I just want to give credit there and know that it was not me who created that quote. Now, that can be interpreted in a lot of different ways, and I hope that whoever's listening to this right now can find their own interpretation of that and can take that and bring it into your situation. For me, that speaks to my brother. Any relationship that I had, I think really helped me come into the woman that I am today. So, like I said, it was a privilege to love you, and it was a privilege to let you go, because at the end of the day, loving you and letting you go were very, very pivotal things for me in my life to bring me to where I am today. So thank you. And thank you guys for taking the time. Really, I appreciate it. And please don't forget, follow for more. I'm going to be releasing podcasts on Mondays and Fridays every week. So please, at any time, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. Find me on Instagram at Right Up Your Alley. And that's RIGHTUPYOURALLIEEE. All right. And then I'm Allie Buckley on Facebook. If you guys want to friend me, if you guys want to follow me, if you guys just want to know who I am and kind of take a deeper dive into who I am on social media, I'd love it. So please, guys, I'm looking so much forward to this. This is going to be so exciting. So keep listening for more. Okay, guys, and as always, please listen to all the shows at uptomeradio.com. The 2 is the number 2, so that's
uptomeradio.com or from one of your favorite podcast apps, such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Just search for Up To Me Radio, click on and follow my show. And you can follow Journeys Unconventional on Instagram at uptome.radio and on Facebook at Up To Me Radio. And we also have a hope campaign going on. We want to know what hope means to you. So please, at any time, you guys can take a picture of yourselves, take a picture of your dog, holding a sign showing us what hope means to you. Whatever that means to you, just let us know and tag Up To Me Radio and hashtag get these things going. Let's get this trending. This is going to be really, really cool. Alrighty, you guys. And next episode on Monday, you guys will be hearing from my best friend, Cody, and we're going to be talking about her relationship with her father, who has Alzheimer's disease. So that's going to be a really interesting conversation, and I hope you guys join, and I can't wait to see you guys next week. Have a great rest of your weekend. Bye.